Sunday, May 25th. The loss of battlecruiser Hood causes consternation among the British and a desire for revenge. Prime Minister Winston Churchill, addressing the House of Commons, declares that they must sink the Bismarck, whatever the cost.
To go and see for myself.
Meanwhile, the German battleship heads towards the French coast, while the Prince Eugen sails into the Atlantic. The British Admiralty orders its ships to hunt down the Bismarck. The battleships Ramy and Rodney are joined in the chase by Force H, made up of the aircraft carrier Ark Royal and the cruisers Renown and Sheffield, which set sail from their base on Gibraltar under the command of Admiral Somerville to cover the southern flank of the Atlantic Ocean. Swordfish torpedo bombers from the aircraft carrier Victorious reach the area and attack the Bismarck, only managing to strike it once. Soon afterwards, the Prince of Wales fires 2 shells that fail to hit the target. The Norfolk and the Suffolk continue to keep track of the ship's course via their radars. But on his 52nd birthday, Admiral Lutyens is giving a brilliant display of seamanship and is able to shake off his pursuers with a nighttime maneuver that leaves the Royal Navy commanders disconcerted. However, Lutyens, unaware of the situation, sends a long message to Hitler and Admiral Raeder, thus revealing his position. Monday, May 26th. In the Sea War in the Atlantic Ocean, a Catalina aircraft from the Coastal Command flown by pilot Dennis Briggs spots the battleship Bismarck and reports its position. The closest ships are those of the H Force, commanded by Admiral Somerville, who is ordered to stop the German battleship, which is only a day away from the French port of Brest. The British ships set off in pursuit at full speed. "15 Swordfish aircraft take off from the Ark Royal to look for the Bismarck. After mistaking the light cruiser Sheffield for the German battleship, they attack. Thus, realizing their error, they return to the carrier. At dusk, the Swordfish take off again, carrying torpedoes with contact fuses. At the same time, U-556, commanded by Herbert Warfoth, arrives on the scene, but it has run out of torpedoes. The planes of the Ark Royal attack the Bismarck and succeed in hitting it several times, rendering its rudders useless and forcing it to sail in circles. In a stormy sea, the German battleship tries to defend itself as the British ships close in. In the Mediterranean theater in Crete, General Freyberg sends a message to Archibald Wavell, Commander-in-Chief of the Allied forces in the Middle East, informing him that his men are retreating towards the Bay of Soda with the objective of leaving the island. Tuesday, May 27th. Aboard the Bismarck, Admiral Lutyens and Captain Ernst Lindemann are aware that the end is near. A sense of despair and impotence takes hold of the crew. The Royal Navy battleships Rodney and King George V and the cruisers Norfolk and Dorsetshire open fire on the German ship from a distance of 20 kilometers, 21,900 yards. The Bismarck barely responds as it is caught in a deluge of enemy fire, which renders it defenseless. The distance between the ships shortens as torpedoes and shells are fired one after another. The British are amazed that the German battleship does not go down, until Captain Hans Ols gave the order to scuttle. The Bismarck, a wonder of naval engineering, begins to heel over as its stern sinks. Finally, at 10 o'clock 39 minutes, it disappears into the depths of the ocean. Of its 2,200 crew members, only 115 survive. The powerless U-74 and U-556 have witnessed the disaster. Hitler, on hearing the news, cancels all appointments and locks himself in his study. In North Africa, Rommel's forces retake the Halfaya Pass on the border between Libya and Egypt and begin to fortify their positions. In Bir Hakeim, in the Libyan desert, soldiers from the French Foreign Legion, belonging to the Free French Forces, having held their ground against the Italians for weeks, are forced to retreat. Wednesday, May 28th. On Crete, in the Aegean, Commander Bernard Freyberg, in charge of the Allied troops, comes to the conclusion that the situation is untenable and orders his troops to evacuate the island immediately. The soldiers withdraw towards Sfakia, Palaeokora, and Plakias on the south coast to embark on Royal Navy vessels. In Berlin, Hitler agrees to the construction of the heavy tank VK-4501H, also known as Panzer Tiger I. The first units of the model will enter service by September 1942. In Paris, the Darlan-Warlimont Protocol is signed, giving the Germans free access to the ports of the French colonies in Africa. In Iraq, Middle East, the British forces arrive in Baghdad. German sympathizer Rashid Ali al-Kalani and his government flee to Persia, Iran, and later make it to Germany. A pro-British government is established under Abdul Ilah. In the United States, President Roosevelt announces in one of his fireside chats that the country is in a state of emergency and therefore the government must increase its power over the national economy. Later, he tells the press he has no intentions of asking Congress to overturn the Neutrality Acts. Thursday, May 29th. In Crete, Allied resistance is limited to protecting the places where the troops are embarking to be transported to Alexandria in Egypt. During the evacuation, the British destroyers Imperial and Hereward are sunk by German planes. In North Africa, Archibald Wavell, Commander-in-Chief in the Middle East, has been under pressure from Winston Churchill to drive out the Germans from the area surrounding Tobruk. After disagreements between the two men over the sending of troops from Palestine to Iraq, the British Prime Minister is thinking of replacing Wavell with Claude Auchinleck, the Commander-in-Chief of the armies in India. Yielding to Churchill's pressure, Wavell plans Operation Battle Axe. This counteroffensive will involve an armored brigade with Matilda tanks and another of infantry, whose objective is to destroy the Axis positions along the line of Halfaya, Solum, Bardia, Campuzzo. In the war at sea, the German submarines continue to harass the convoys crossing the Atlantic on their way to Britain. U-38, commanded by Heinrich Liebe, sinks the British merchant ship Tarbestan, while Otto Paulsen's U-557 attacks convoy HX-128 and sends the Empire Storm to the bottom of the ocean. Friday, May 30th. The Germans have taken most of Crete. The Allies are only hanging on at few beaches and small ports from where Royal Navy ships are continuously evacuating soldiers to the port of Alexandria in Egypt. The loss of Crete, a key strategic location, is a hard blow to Churchill's government. The British hoped to control the island in order to intercept vessels taking oil to Germany from Romania and as a base from which to launch air raids against the Ploesti oil fields. For the OKW, the high command of the German army, what is important is to have the southern flank protected during the coming invasion of the Soviet Union. In Iraq, the mayor of Baghdad and some Iraqi army officers loyal to Rashid Ali offer the British an armistice. The Italian and German ambassadors have fled to Persia, Iran. In Hitler's view, the loss of an ally in the region will not alter the balance of power because he sees little strategic value in the Middle East, particularly at a time when his incompetent Italian allies, supported by Rommel's Afrika Korps, are encroaching upon the Allied forces in Egypt, and Turkey insists on remaining neutral. Saturday, May 31st. The Battle of Crete comes to an end. General Freyberg leaves the island on the hydroplane Sunderland and puts Divisional General Eric Wilson in charge of the last troops remaining on the island, waiting to be evacuated. The Wehrmacht and the Luftwaffe have won a great victory over the Allied forces, but at a high cost. 25,000 men have taken part in the operation, with a total of 6,500 casualties. The 7th German Airborne Division has been virtually annihilated, with many of its most able men being killed. In addition, 370 aircraft have been lost. In view of the high death toll among paratroopers, Hitler orders that no more operations of this type are to be carried out in the future. For their part, the Allies have managed to evacuate most of their troops, though of the 43,000 men stationed in the island, 15,000 have been killed or taken prisoner. This is the third time in a year that Royal Navy ships have been forced to undertake a major evacuation of troops under fire from the Luftwaffe. On this occasion, the operation has involved the loss of 3 cruisers and 6 destroyers, sunk by German planes, and 2 battleships, 1 aircraft carrier, and 7 destroyers have been badly damaged. In Iraq, the Baghdad Armistice is signed, and Emir Abdul Ilah is ratified as the country's regent. He has guaranteed his support to the Allies and opposition to the Axis powers. The relief of regaining control over the region's oil dispels Churchill's gloom, his black dog, as he calls his depressed moods.